Welcome to Conversations from St. Norbert College, a program that encourages good discussion in our community on today's local and global issues. Now, your host for Conversations from St. Norbert College, author, professor, and nationally known sports economist, Dr. Kevin Quinn.
Welcome to Conversations from St. Norbert College. I'm Kevin Quinn. Our special guest is Rob Zerjav, President and General Manager of the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, and we'll discuss why minor league baseball works so well here in northeastern Wisconsin. Rob, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Well, you know, the snow is gone,
Yep.
the sun is shining, maybe not today, and it's baseball season. That's got to be the coolest feeling in the world for somebody in your situation.
It is, especially this year. It's been great because we actually had an early spring, and to have opening day and we had 70 degrees, and maybe once in 20 years that happens because usually we're battling snow and chipping ice. So this year even more so. It's been just a great feeling and great to get going.
My wife and I went to an opening day game about a dozen years ago, and I think the temperature was in the 20s. And we wound up on TV because, you know, all the stations were carrying it, but a lot of people had left by about the fifth inning or so.
Yeah, it's tough. And you know what's funny this year is we put together a promotion. We have a stocking cap giveaway. We just had a scarf giveaway, and the weather's been great. So I guess we're going to do more of those, mittens or whatever it is, whatever it takes to get it to have nice weather. But yeah, we've had plenty of cold weather days.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that wonderful stadium that you have down there, but I want to ask you a little bit about minor league baseball. I mean, a lot of folks know that minor league baseball exists, but I'm not sure they understand necessarily how big it is or how well organized it is. So talk a little bit about the organization of minor league baseball. Sure.
Minor league baseball, there's actually 160 minor league teams throughout the country where they're official minor league teams. And what that means is they have a relationship, we have a relationship with Major League Baseball. So every major league team has 6 minor league clubs underneath them. There's a rookie ball team, there's a short season team, there's 2 A-ball clubs, a AA, a AAA, and the major league club. So when a player gets drafted, it's not like football or basketball where you get drafted and you go and play for the NFL team or the NBA team. You start in the minor leagues and you've got to work your way up. For some players it'll take, they can do it in a year. Others it takes 6 years to hit all those steps and eventually become a big league player. So yeah, from the minor league standpoint, we have an affiliation with the big league club. Everybody that's a minor league team has a guarantee that they're going to be in existence with a major league team. There's just the exact number of clubs, and we're affiliated with the Brewers. We've just recently signed another 4-year extension, so we'll be going
congratulations.
Through 2020.
And so what does that mean exactly?
Well, when it comes down to it, you sign a one-page document. It's about a paragraph long. I sign it, Doug Melvin signs it, and that's it. There's no negotiation. We can't ask for money from them. They can't ask for anything from us. Pretty much everything is spelled out in our player development contract. And you sign this one-pager, and again, they provide us the players to play. They provide the coaching staff, the training staff, and we provide the facilities. Then it kind of breaks down at the single A level. We're responsible for paying 25% of the bats and balls. The Major League Club pays 75% of those. And again, things have changed over the years. We're going through about 6 dozen baseballs now a game, and it's players tossing them into the crowd, and it's great for us too. It's great for kids to get to take home a souvenir, but all of those balls cost $8 a piece, and when you're going through 6 dozen a game, it starts to add up.
$8 a piece, really?
Yeah,
wow. No wonder why people dive for them.
Yeah, and that's a minor league. That's a minor league game. That doesn't.
I never understood in the big league parks why somebody's going to spill an $8 beer and $12 nachos to get a baseball, but I suppose at $8 a piece, right?
Well, and the major league balls, those are $12 a piece, so they're
really,
yeah, a little bit different. And yeah, so there is some value to those if you collect them. So back in the day, if you were getting foul balls and trading them in for a piece of gum, you should have just held on to that baseball. So.
It would have been a good investment, no doubt about
exactly.
that. So now, there's not just minor league baseball in the U.S. It's, Dominican Republic, Canada, Mexico, right? Venezuela.
Yeah, there's a lot of baseball that goes on. From the minor league standpoint, it's pretty much based solely in the United States. There is a Mexican league that is recognized by minor league baseball. I believe there's one team now in Canada, but otherwise it's pretty much all of the rest of the teams are just centralized in the U.S.
So let's talk a little bit about the history of the Timber Rattlers. They've been known as the Timber Rattlers since about '94, is that right, or '95?
We've switched over in 1995.
But they had a long history before that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually baseball dates back to 1891 in Appleton, and it's had a storied past. back and forth with World War I and World War II, and eventually we in the 50s it kind of settled in, and we became a part of the Midwest League, and we've had baseball, affiliated baseball ever since. But we've had a lot of different affiliations, from the Browns to the
St. Louis Browns.
The St. Louis Browns.
Wow.
To the Royals, to the White Sox, to the Mariners, and now with the Brewers. So we've had a lot of different players that have come through. You know, over 200 major leaguers have played in Appleton, and a lot of the big ones these days have come through Appleton as well.
Well, you've been with the team for quite a while, right?
Yeah, this is 19 years for me.
19 years, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I mean, especially in a business that's not necessarily known for its great stability. I was looking through the your front office staff, and you have an amazing amount of experience in that group of people. I can't imagine there's many teams that have more.
No, we have a great staff, and we're very lucky. And I kind of say, you know, and maybe in 30 years we'll look back and say it was kind of the glory days of minor league baseball. Because when I first started, I started as an unpaid intern. And we were kind of bare bones, and you really didn't make a living in minor league baseball. You were single, you would move around. If you got married, you could maybe stay in it. If you had a family, you were pretty much done. It was time to find a different career. But minor league baseball was just starting to really grow in the kind of the late 90s, early 2000s, and you started to see a lot of stadiums built, kind of like ours. The stadiums you see built now are mini major league parks, and the staffs eclipse ours, and 40, 50 people it takes to run some of these teams. And it's really become a really solid business where you can have a family, and you can have a regular life outside of the game. And it's been nice, again, to our stability. Our product has only gotten better because of the number of people that have stayed around. And yeah, they just do a fantastic job, and every one of them to put on a great experience for the fans when they come to the ballpark.
It's a very professionally run thing. I mean, I think most people watching probably have been to at least one game, and there's nothing minor league about the way that you guys deliver that product, that's for sure. Yeah,
we really try hard to put as professional a product as we can. Because of our relationship with the major league team, we don't control the players on the field. So whether our shortstop is good or not, or whether I think we should have a different closer, it doesn't matter.
You still get the calls.
Yeah, we're stuck with what we have on the field. So our sole goal is to make sure people have a fun time, whether we win or lose. Whether the team is a good team, a bad team, we want people to have fun when they come out to the ballpark. So it's all the promotions that we'll do, food specials, whatever it is, we just want people to have fun and be able to bring your family out. Hopefully, if you're not a baseball fan, and those are some of the best comments I get, is they'll come out and they're like, yeah, I'm really not a baseball fan, but boy, I love coming to your games. And hopefully we can turn some people into baseball fans, but at the same time, as long as people have fun, we're doing our job.
Well, I got to say, we're probably in a heyday of baseball, not just minor league baseball, but baseball period. People forget, baseball in the early 90s, Major League Baseball was in trouble. They didn't have a TV contract. They had collusion issues, and they had other kinds of labor issues. Of course, there was the big strike of 94 and 95. And then, under Bud Selig, who I'm a sports economist, and I think very highly of the way he went about doing what he did, it came back. And it was helped, I think, by the internet, and fantasy baseball got a lot easier, and people started paying attention. But it's been a golden era the last little while. I mean, the revenues are up, the franchise values are up. You're right, it's a great time to be in baseball.
Yeah, and I think a lot of credit has to go to Bud Selig for the job he's done. Growing up, I grew up in Green Bay, and I was always this kind of outsider as the baseball fan in the football town, and I couldn't get enough baseball. And yeah, going through some of those tumultuous times and reading about it, and through high school and into college, and then deciding to get into the sport. And back when the strike happened, they let minor league baseball still played games. And I think that was a big help for minor league baseball, because people they had no other alternative. They couldn't go to a major league game, so if they wanted to see baseball, they went to minor league games. And I think that really kind of helped minor league baseball. But now with the labor piece, and yeah, just the focus on growth, and no team is better than another, and it's kind of the parts of the whole as opposed to just everybody as an individual, I think has done wonders for the game. And you mentioned fantasy, from football to baseball, yeah, that definitely helps. But I think baseball's advantage is the number of games, and then the affordability, because you can still bring a family at the major league level, especially at the minor league level, but you can bring it to other generations. And I know there's a lot of talk about kids aren't playing baseball as much, or you're missing out on the kids, or the average fan is 40 plus or 50 plus. But I think baseball will survive because it has such a broad appeal, and so many people, their first professional sporting event is a baseball game. Just from a price standpoint, it's easy for fans to go.
Yeah, especially to a minor league game. And the kids don't care if it's the big leaguers there or not, and it gives you an opportunity to, there's nothing like the sights and smells and just looking at the grass, and the kids get the popcorn and all that stuff. There's nothing like that. And if they can develop a lifelong love affair with the sport, I mean, as a parent, you're doing your kid, or a grandparent, you're doing your kid a great favor. So you mentioned some of those players that have come through, over 200 major leaguers, but can you name some that have come through that maybe people might recognize?
Sure. Recent Hall of Famer Goose Gossage came through for some of the older viewers maybe, but from Alex Rodriguez, who was with the Foxes, but just from the Timber Rattlers standpoint over the last 20 years, David Ortiz, who's still playing with the Red Sox, was with the Timber Rattlers in 1996. I
think he married a girl from
he did.
Wrightstown, was that right?
Yeah, the Kaukauna area, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I bet a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, we're in the Midwest League, and the abbreviation is MWL, but a lot of the coaches joke that it's Meet Your Wife League, so they do. There's a lot of women from Wisconsin that have found these ball players, and I think it says a lot about the Wisconsin women, I guess, that these guys like them. But so yeah, we from David Ortiz to Adam Jones, who's the All-Star Gold Glover for the Baltimore Orioles, Shin-Soo Choo, who just signed a huge contract with the Texas Rangers, Felix Hernandez, who's the Cy Young winner from the Mariners, to now the current Brewers, Scooter Gennett, Chris Davis, Willie Peralta, Jimmy Nelson, Martin Maldonado. You kind of just go down the list, and there's a lot of these guys that played for us, and it is fun to watch. And I think that's what's great for kids too, is we talked about the experience, and hopefully they can become fans of baseball. And we preach this to our players, is you want to be able to give autographs. And what's nice about our guys being so young is they're not, I guess, quote unquote, jaded yet, and they still like to give autographs. And the kids come out, and there's nothing better than getting one of these guys who they don't know if it's the Brewers or the Timber Rattlers or who, the Yankees. It's just a ball player in uniform signing a ball for them, and they treasure that. And with us, what's great about it is you never know. Mike Trout came through our league a couple of years ago, and was amazing when he was playing with the Cedar Rapids Colonels. They were affiliated with the Angels at the time. And who would have known, you get a Mike Trout ball signed, and look what he's become. And I think that's what's really neat about minor league baseball, is seeing these guys and then trying to project and say, oh, is he going to be something? Oh, I didn't think he was going to be anything, and look what he's become today.
I mean, Mike Trout, for those that don't know, is literally one of the best players in Major League Baseball. He might be one of the best players come along in some years.
Yeah.
When he was playing at the A level, did you know?
You did. It was crazy. I talked to the GM in Cedar Rapids at the time, and he said he had picked him up from the airport. And this GM, he was a little bit older. He's since retired, so he was in his 60s when he picked him up. And Mike Trout was an 18-year-old, and he said, I saw him, and I thought, this guy looks exactly like Mickey Mantle. And he had the same cut, the same kind of buzz cut, and watching him play was incredible. I think against us, he batted about 800. He made just these spectacular diving catches in the outfield, and it was one of those things you just knew. It was amazing. On the flip side, I like to tell the story. Albert Pujols also played in our league, and our manager at the time actually, because the managers have to rate all the players and on the visiting team as well, and what they think, and he rated him as a non-prospect. And the next year, Albert Pujols was in the major leagues, and he was Rookie of the Year and won MVP, and you like to kind of joke around and say, boy, you kind of missed on that one.
Well, I mean, that's really true. In the book Moneyball, one of the things that was talked about, and again, this is a bunch of years ago, was that you really don't know when the kids are 17, 18 what they're going to turn out to be. And the argument was, okay, well, you might not get the high upside on the college players, but you know what you're getting. Yeah. And now you don't get a lot of college players, isn't that right? You mostly get most of the kids right out of high school, or maybe from Dominican Republic, or
it kind of depends on it kind of comes in cycles, and it depends on how the Brewers draft. Recently, they've been drafting high school kids with high upside. We currently have a very young team. Most of the kids on our team are 19 and 20 years old. But we have their top three number one picks, or their top three picks from last year's draft. Cody Medeiros, who was the first round pick, number 12th overall in the country, out of Hawaii. And our shortstop was number 40. Our center fielder, Monte Harrison, in the second round, but he was 50th overall in the draft last year, all out of high school. So the Brewers right now are taking a lot of young players. Back in 2012, we had a very relatively speaking, old team, college players, and we ended up winning the Midwest League championship. Again, because they knew how to play, they could gel together, they were a little bit older. And this year we're kind of going through some growing pains with a young team, and it is tough too. This year the Brewers have had a focus on foreign players. I joked in the past, the Brewers have always been into the foreign markets. The years past it was always in Canada, so it wasn't very tough from a language standpoint, but now they're mining the Dominican, and we have 11 of our 25 guys are from the Dominican. 9 of those guys don't really speak any English. And it makes it a little bit tougher, and especially for them coming over to the country and not speaking any English and being here for the first time and then trying to perform at the same time as trying to just make your way around and survive. I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, I mean, if I were coming from the Dominican or Venezuela and I was trying to pick the place where they'd have the easiest transition, probably northeastern Wisconsin may not be that place. But since you have so many of them, you have all kinds of things in place to help them adjust, right? I mean, part of what you do is teaching those kids to become ball players here in the U.S.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. And again, I think that's where the minor leagues help a lot, because you're not being thrown on this national stage, and they get to learn here, and they'll learn English. It's great for me to see players from one year to the next, and I'll see them in spring training, and now their English has improved so much, and you can have a conversation, and it's just great to see them progress. And yeah, so the Brewers have put together a class where whenever we're at home, twice a week we'll have a Spanish to English class, and they'll practice on that. And but what's always interesting is the language of baseball kind of transcends. It's worldly, so that's kind of neat to see everybody get along from that standpoint. But yeah, it's tough for them, and it's just a learning experience, and they'll make mistakes, and you try to correct them and try to help. And usually one of the coaches on staff will always be bilingual, so he can always help translate. But at the same time, there was a year when we had no coaches that could speak Spanish, and you have players that can only speak Spanish, and you're using other players to kind of translate. And yeah, it can be very tough.
That can be challenging. Of course, that's, as you said, that's largely the Brewers' problem, because they're the ones that have to supply the coach staff, but you have to work with them too. So I want to talk a little bit about what it's like to actually run a team. Okay, so who owns the team? Let's start with that.
Yeah, easiest way to describe it, we're much like the Green Bay Packers, and we're a community-owned team. So we have a volunteer board of directors, and their job is then to hire. My position is my job to run the organization. It's been a great setup. The stadium is owned by a nonprofit group, so pretty much we're self-sustaining. The only way we can make improvements to the stadium, the only way that we stay in business is by doing our job and selling tickets and selling the corporate advertising and getting people to come out to the ballpark. And so yeah, it's definitely a different business model from kind of the norm now, but really works well for us. Well,
you are very successful. I mean, what, about 250,000 people a year?
Yeah.
That's an enormous number of people. I mean, considering that, how big is Appleton? It's
70,000 people.
70,000 people. So literally, they must be coming from all over the place then. Right?
We do. We draw really well from all of Northeast Wisconsin. Now that we've become a Brewers affiliate, we actually really draw well from pretty much the entire state. We'll get folks coming up from Milwaukee. West Bend specifically likes to come up this way. We're also really big in the UP. They like to come down, and if you're going to go see professional baseball, we're the closest for them to go. And there'll be Brewer fans up there, there'll be Tiger fans up there, but if they want to come see professional baseball, and a lot of them will make a trip out of it and a weekend and go shopping at the mall and come over by us. And but yeah, we're drawing from all over the state now, and yeah, that kind of helps, because yeah, just drawing from Appleton, I don't know if we'd be able to survive.
So tell us what goes on game day. So I mean, most people they wind up in the parking lot doing some tailgating, but there's a whole lot of stuff that has to happen before that occurs.
Yeah, right? It's always surprising to people when we do go through what actually happens, and every day is a little bit different. I'd love to have a retractable roof. That'd make everything so much easier. But weather is the biggest play for us. If it's raining, your day is completely different. For us, it's all hands on deck. You have to put the tarp on the field, and that takes full-time staff. And I'll go down and help put the tarp on. And I preach it to everybody because it's not a fun job, but if we don't have a field to play on, we don't play games. And if we don't play games, people aren't coming, none of us have jobs. So first and foremost, it's tarping that field, making sure that they can play the game that night. When it's a nice day, again, every day is different, whether we have a game or we don't, but on game day, we'll have a staff meeting, and we're really big on getting information out to everybody. We have 27 full-time staff members that it takes to run the organization. We have over 400 game day employees, and on a big game, we'll have anywhere from 100 to 150 employees working the concession stands, ticket takers, parking, ushers, grounds crew, working kids games. So there's just a lot of people that it takes to run the whole organization. And again, we are big on kind of taking over, and everything is in-house, from the food and beverage to selling of the tickets, selling of the merchandise, cleaning the facility. Everything used to kind of was done out of house, and we found with our focus on customer service, it's about having that control. And so with that, there's just a lot more challenges in running the day-to-day. But we'll have a meeting, we'll get out the information, everybody knows what's going on that day. And then when gates open, it's a little chaotic, but like we say, there's two times to the season. There's kind of the mental time and the physical time. I look at the off season as more of the mental, where you're doing your selling, you're planning, you're coming up with everything you're going to do, and once the season arrives, it's just fulfillment, and it's going, and it's not going to stop. So you just gotta to go with it and make it all happen.
Yeah, I mean, you don't take Sundays off. I mean, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So you play how many games a year? It's 70 games at home? Is that
There's
right?
70 home games, 140 total.
That's a lot of games. I mean, that's a lot of seats to fill.
It is. Capacity of the stadium is 5,900 this year. Opening day, we were just shy of 6,000, so we were sold
amazing.
out for opening day. And it's those type of things that we have to do and get people to come out, and different promotions. And again, not everybody's a baseball fan, so we're trying to get all kinds of people. We've had a lot of success recently with anything that's geared towards kids, whether it's Superhero Day and it's bringing out Batman and the Flash, or it's really kind of going after a different segment that you wouldn't think of when it comes to baseball. But we've had a lot of success with Disney princesses, and we've had princess nights at the stadium, and then you see all these little girls coming out and families coming out, and they're in their dresses and tiaras, and they want to come and meet the princesses. And we had a Frozen Day last year, and Elsa and Anna were there, and it was our biggest crowd of the year, over 7,000 people for that game.
7,000 people, wow.
Yeah, and again, weather played a factor in that one, because we ended up getting it rained out, which was too bad. But still, they all came out because they wanted to get their picture taken and meet Elsa and Anna. And that's what we look at. How can we, not everybody can afford to go to Disney World, let alone once a year, but maybe ever. So how can we bring some of those experiences close to home? And we found a lot of success with getting people to come out. And again, our least expensive ticket is $6, so to come on out and for some of these little girls or little boys to meet their heroes, it's just really neat. And that's, it really, when I first started, my goal was, this is a stepping stone to become, somebody with a major league team. But I saw that we're all about the community and family entertainment, and I knew this is what I wanted to do, and that's what we've been doing ever since. Well,
you were talking about promotions, and I personally think the coolest thing that might be in all of the minor leagues is the Bratzuka. So tell us about the Bratzuka.
The Bratzuka, yeah, it came, we actually, and again, in minor league baseball, you borrow from everybody, and we'll say you steal from everybody. And we went to Lansing, Lansing Lugnuts are in our league, and we went there for the All-Star game in 1997. And they had this giant cannon that was shaped like a hot dog, and they were shooting hot dogs into the stands. And it was just one of those things that you saw, and you're like, we have to do that. So again, being from Wisconsin, we turned that into the Bratzuka because, of the brats. And yeah, we've been doing it every game since, I think, 1998. And I tell you, so I've seen it, 1,000 times. And no matter where I'm on the concourse, when the Bratzuka, the music comes on and it's the same music and I just know what's happening, I'll stop and watch it because it's still entertaining.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, so it's been a good one for us. And I'm honestly shocked that more people around the area or more people in minor league baseball don't kind of bring that out too, because it's been such a hit for us. So yeah, that's a keeper. Do
the interns fight over who gets to shoot the Bratzuka?
We used to let the interns...
Bratzuka training?
See, we used to let the interns do it, but it became so important that you had to get the brats into the stands and not shoot them on the roof. that
Yep, I've seen that too.
now our director of marketing, she's also our on-field MC, Hillary. She's in charge of the Bratzuka, and she's become quite talented at shooting that baby. And she can pretty much pinpoint where she's going to go and keep them in the stands, because the last thing you want is somebody to come out for their first or only game of the year, and the Bratzuka either doesn't work, or they shoot them on the roof, or they get booed. So you got to have a professional doing that.
That must be an interesting resume line for some of those kids. Shot the Bratzuka.
Yes.
And we've had a number of interns from St. Norbert that have been there, and including I think one or two who have been fortunate enough to be Fang. So Fang is a pretty cool mascot. A snake, obviously.
Yeah.
With arms and legs.
Yeah, we sometimes have to explain that more so to people outside of the area, but here, yeah, people just get it. So he's been great for us, and we've all, I can say I've literally done every job there. I've been the mascot, and that's a lot of fun too. But the big thing that we have with Fang, and we started this again back in I think '97, was Fang's reading program, and now it spreads to over 180 schools locally, and Fang goes out and basically it's encouraging students to read, and they earn different prizes and eventually can win a ticket to one of our games, or earn a ticket to one of our games. And again, what's great to see is getting in the mail these letters that, again, my child didn't like to read, didn't like school, but he knew if he was going to go to the Timber Rattler game, he had to do it. And they just are so appreciative that we've used this kind of as a vehicle to get their kids to read. And what's really neat now is to see kids when I was younger and working there that, they were a part of Fang's reading program, but now they're coming out and they're bringing their kids who are part of Fang's reading program. And it just tells me I'm getting old, and we've been there a long time. But yeah, it's really neat to see that it's just continued to grow.
Well, a couple of years ago the stadium is about 20 years old, right? 21 years old?
This is its 21st season, yeah.
And a couple of years ago you had some renovations, isn't that right?
Yeah, actually in 2013, we just renovated the stadium. It was a $6.5 million renovation. Basically, the entire middle portion of the stadium was demolished, and we ended up adding a club level upstairs. We added suites, a new office, new store. We expanded our clubhouses a little bit, added on bathrooms, expanded our concession stands. Really, it was a matter of taking 10 years of feedback. Okay, what are fans looking for? What can we improve? How can we improve the customer service? And it all went into that. On top of it, we were trying to figure out how can we become a year-round business. And
like the Packers have done
exactly,
very
the Packers, the Brewers. There's other minor league teams that, specifically in our league, that we looked at in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in Midland, Michigan, where they kind of had the same, where they added a club, and then they found a lot of people were looking for banquet space or weddings, and we developed ours specifically around that, and it's just taken off, and it's been a great. And on top of it, we did a lot of research with the Fox Cities Convention and Visitors Bureau as to what was needed. The last thing we wanted to do was add another banquet facility when they're like, we already have too many. But they said, nope, we were looking for something in the 250 to 300 person range that's a little bit on the higher end, not high end, but kind of the middle of the road, high end. And that's what we think we offered, and we're busy almost every single day of the week.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the rival of pretty much any minor league ballpark. I think was voted as one of the top ballparks in the country, right?
We recently were named in the top 10 best ballparks in the country for places to live in just the region, and it's an honor, and we do our best. Everybody with us does our best to kind of entertain the fans, and it's nice to be recognized.
Well, we're just about out of time, but my wife would never speak to me again if I didn't ask you a Hank the Dog question.
Yes.
So have you ever hosted Hank the Dog?
We have, and he'll be back again this year. Ironically, the owner of Hank now is legal counsel for the Brewers, but she grew up.
She's one of our alums, actually.
Yeah.
She's been on the show.
Okay, yeah, and her parents live in the Appleton area and are good friends with our director of security, and helped arrange Hank last year. And what's funny is that we actually had a rehab of Aramis Ramirez that same day, and we joked to Aramis that these people aren't here to see, because it was the same day as Hank the Dog, and we were sold out, and we said, they're not here to see you, Aramis, they're here to see Hank the Dog. So that's been huge, and we're having him back again this year. And again, it's just a different group of people that are excited about something a little bit different, but it gets people out to the ballpark.
Yeah, well, it is a tremendous story, a fantastic phenomenon. Probably the coolest mascot story, I think, in a long time in all of baseball. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed the time.
My pleasure.
It's fun to talk about baseball, right? Especially
Always.
at this time of year. And I hope you all enjoyed our show, too. Until next time, I'm Kevin Quinn. Best wishes for good conversations from St. Norbert College.